That is episode 12. And you are such a relentless learner. I respect that. Today, we are going to learn something very important on a very simple sample, so it will not distract us. When I speak about simple sample, I mean very simple. Specifically, we are going to fix this. As you see, there's unfortunately thing we did in the previous hands-on episode is not perfectly aligned. Those priority labels are not vertically aligned, they are way too down. It's not like it's a big deal, but I want our application to look nice. So that means we need to be vertically aligned. That's all, that's the only thing we do today. But don't worry, it will not get boring. Let me make a little step aside and explain why we are doing that first of all. Now more and more models by more and more providers are available with context window over 1 million tokens, 1 million tokens or even more. Well, first of all, it's great. So industry develops, it's wonderful. Second, bad news, it's mostly nothing but marketing. Those models declaring 1-2 millions of tokens context window barely can handle even 200,000, not to say more. If you go over 300,000, that still works without hallucinations and without forgetting constructions. You are very lucky. Most of us, not that lucky. No matter what size is context window, much higher importance now getting the attention window, I call it like that. So the size of a context where model behaves predictably, then it remembers instruction, gives no hallucinations, understands what's going on without going crazy. And this attention window is significantly smaller than context window. Why I'm talking about that? I was very disappointed to see some discussions on Reddit where people were suggesting just, oh, now 1 million context window, 2 million context window, let's just throw the whole project into the context. So model will have access to all the files, so we will save tokens on calls for file reads. That at first might sound like a super good idea. The only problem is it's not. The models are not really good in distinguishing what's relevant to what's not. And if you give too much files, then complexity raises almost quadratically, as we discussed before. And model is getting not capable to understand what's relevant, what's not relevant. It begins to hallucinate. It begins to implement strange decisions. Strange decisions run in circles again and again. So do all the unpleasant things we want to avoid. Adding whole project into that, throwing it like into a garbage dump, it will not make it better. It will make it worse, because attention span, attention window for a model is significantly lower than context window. In short, we should work to solve problem with as less context as possible, reasonably less, of course. We still need to establish context, but we should remember what is relevant, what is not, and give to the model as few things as possible so it can operate successfully. Modern models are already capable to distinguish good from bad, metaphorically speaking, but still not that much, and definitely model will work faster, and it will be cheaper for you if you distinguish that. So take a look. We have here 4 different ways to call for the model. We can just say to model, align priority badge vertically. We can say something like align priority span.priority badge vertically. Align priority span.priority badge vertically with giving specific, with referring specific files. Or we can just throw the whole project into that. Now, for that project, as it's a demo project, it's not that bad idea because there are pretty few files, but we are learning on this project. In real life, you get much more advanced things. So, let's begin with the first one. Obviously, in this case, situation will be not great. Now, think about it. Think of two difficulties what will appear. You can pause if you're a complete novice, then pause the video, think about that, and get to me as soon as you're ready. Now, answer here is obvious. First of all, model has no context. Model understands what we are doing some coding. Model has approximate understanding of a project based on the file lists, what's included in the environment details, as you know. But still, we will need to find specific files. So first we will be searching for a file. We will be looking for this page. We will be looking how it's set in the styles. So we have CSS, and then finally make some changes. This idea will be slightly better because it's already clear what we are talking about HTML and what's class of this HTML element will be priority page, but still nothing clear, so we will need to look for files. So much better. Now, this approach is my favorite. Why? As I'm working on the project, I already know it more or less. At least I understand which files I'm working with, right? So, adding those files, they are referencing, as you know, I can do with reference file, styles, CSS, like that. It will be more advanced than just this, because internally, when this file is referenced, it also will be added to a request, as you will see soon. Then, setting this file as a context, giving this file into context, I immediately tell to the model to pay attention to that, and moreover, model will have access to the content of the file with no additional API calls, with no tool calls, with no to-do items. It just will be available immediately. And now I'm mentioning here to-do item TSX. If you are not into React, that's a React file with TypeScript, which defines how this priority page is rendered. So also model has direct access to how exactly this element is rendered, not just its style. So I set all the required context. We can see how the item is rendered. So we can see how it goes here, render priority page, how it looks on HTML. We can see how it goes in style CSS, and it all's getting available with the very first request with no need to look for any files. Technically, this second approach can lead to your task to be done in one API call, because you give immediately everything what model needs. Now, again, of course, it's a very simple example. I just want you to really understand and embrace the idea of context management, context engineering, as some say. Now, worst thing about this guy here, about the fourth approach, theoretically, we also give enough context. Yeah, right? Because if we add just the whole project, those files also will be there. And model will not need to read them from the disk. Model will have access to them immediately. So what's wrong here? The idea is it's overloaded, as I already explained it, but even more than that. You might remember I told you models are stateless. So each and every time there is a call to the model, the whole context will send, and each next query includes all the previous conversation. So context will grow, and context will grow with each and every call, and with each and every call, this project will be sent. So you will be paying for that. Directly if you pay for tokens, or indirectly if you are on subscription. Don't worry, your consumption will reflect on your bill, maybe not this month, but next month, then your provider will raise the stakes and raise the prices, because people just dumping their huge projects into the model while being on subscription. So you will pay for it this way or another. Don't worry, business will take your money. So that's two big things. And now finally, one last thing I wanted to say about that. Each project design needs to be modular. I will talk more about that in the future, so I will be super short here. But the general idea is you need to have your code loosely coupled. If you are experienced engineer, then you should totally understand what I'm talking about. Clean code, Robert Martin, refactoring, all those guys, you need to know it and you need to understand it. If you're a beginner far away from software engineering, I'm afraid you will need to learn it with tears in your eyes, but life will make you do it, because modularity now with AI assistant development era, it's not became redundant and forgotten. No. It's still in use, much more in use than ever before, and it will remind about itself again and again. Giving specifically model, we work on this model, we work on that component, or at least with this folder that already gives a model much more and saves you tons of money and a lot of time. So with that discussed, let's see. So first I will give this task. Align priority span priority page vertically. And I will refer files I might need here. Oh, well, definitely need here. So styles CSS, to do model, to do item TS6. And that should be enough. In pretty often, model might want to see index HTML immediately. So adding this one, luckily it's very small, should not overload the model. And while it's working, let's take a look on the API request. So we can scroll up and we can see what indeed task align priority span priority page vertically, style CSS below for file content, to do item TS6, index HTML, and indeed file content begins. So that's it. Task is done. As I can see, yeah, we are finished. And it indeed should look at least, yeah, precisely what it should have been done in add one particular line into vertical align. Let's take a look on how it worked. So that's our initial call, right? So that's the task. Then model does reasoning, thinking on what's happening. It reads the files, looks for style CSS priority page, considers current, source to the item T6 show how the priority page is rendered. So we gave all infrastructure. And index HTML adding was important because we show what this CSS file is included. Otherwise, still model would try to read this file, executing more operations. So now killer code wants to edit file, so we get a full first tool call. Model response with this file edit request. When we are doing more fast apply, because I'm using more fast apply for faster and more precise file edits. Very well, and in the next request we return results for this edit file done by more fast apply. Which successfully added, and basically that's it. Edit file for style CSS, result successful. We are all good, and that's it. Now then the last last API request will be calling for a tool attempt completion, which has been successfully used. Task completed, I successfully aligned the priority page. Indeed, now we can rebuild the model, or we can rebuild the project. We can do npm start, return to our code, and see what our incredible new feature, which we spent developing so much time, is indeed done, and now those labels are vertically aligned. So they look much better. Job is done. This simple example shows a very, very, very important concept, maybe for today the most important concept of successful AI-assisted coding, context management or context engineering. We will get back to this topic again and again, because from my point of view, it's the most important one. That was Alex Volochnev as part of a series AI-assisted coding with Killer Code 101. Thank you for watching. In the next episode, we will be doing wonderful things with MCP servers. See you there!